Hello to my family and friends, neighbors, church family. It's Thursday, March 26th, so it's 3 months and 1 day after Christmas, and I still have a Christmas tree here because we don't take ours down yet. I wanted to share this message with my family. I know we're all going through difficult times, and we really don't even know what's going to be in the future. And I wanted to share 3 emotions that I see prevalent during this pandemic or pestilence, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to talk about each one a little bit, and then want you to stay with me till the end, because I'm going to pray for you individually. I'm going to give a prayer. Obviously, I don't know what it is you're going through or what's in your heart, but I want to pray for each person individually. The first emotion I wanted to talk about was fear. When you felt gripped with fear. And I had an experience the first day of spring, which came very early this year. And it actually was in a dream, and it's but one of those dreams that you never forget. One of those rare dreams that was so vivid, so real to you, and you wake up with your heart pounding, and you will never forget that dream. And it actually took place right here at this door. It was just like the last days of winter or the first days of spring. It was very chilly. It was a late sunny afternoon, and the shadows were beginning to form. And I was gripped with fear. I wanted to lock the door, and the lock was working against me. And I knew that the shadowy figure was coming. And if I didn't lock the door, he was going to get in the door. So we all have these shadowy figures in our lives. Doesn't have a face, but it's evil. And how pertinent at this time, when we're all have fear of this virus, which is invisible and which can attack any one of us, and with unknown consequences to us and our family members and friends. And I was gripped with such fear, and I did get the lock shut, but the shadowy figure did appear. I hadn't seen it yet, but it was looking, in my backyard, and it did appear, and it did come toward the door, and it did try to open the door. And I did get the lock at the last second, and then I woke up. And I think fear, we're seeing this manifest itself, this emotion, in various ways. I heard of an owner of a gun shop in New Jersey. It was just amazing to me, because I actually, after this occurred, I actually had thought of having a gun in my house, which I've never had a gun in my home here. And to protect me. But this shadowy figure, to me, it's a spiritual thing. It wasn't a physical thing. Even though I did go around making sure all the doors are as locked as they possibly could be, I felt that This is a spiritual thing. This is a not seen. It's unseen. And anyway, going back to this gun owner, he was talking about people. Well, since they've closed these, in New Jersey, they've closed the gun shops. But people, before they closed them, they were coming in and buying guns. They didn't even care what the price was. They just saw a gun and they wanted it. And the gun shop owner has never seen anything like it. He said that people were behaving like locusts. Like, I was really intrigued with how he described them as locusts, because, locust is also a plague. We talked about pestilence or pandemic or plague, whatever you want to call it, one of the 3 Ps. Locusts were actually a plague in the book of Exodus in the Bible, where the Lord allowed a favorable east wind to blow in all of the locusts into Egypt. And actually they're having a plague of locusts. This coincidentally over in Kenya right now, I was reading, and there's famine there, hunger, and they need help. They really need help with these locusts. But the beautiful story in Exodus was that God provided a west wind, a storm and a west wind, to blow every single last one of the locusts out of Egypt. So God allowed the locust, the favorable east wind, to bring in all the locusts, but then to use his power, he provided the west wind to blow every single one out of Egypt. So God can do that today. He can blow every single one of these virus strains out of here, if it was his will. It is. If it was his will, he could do that. So the gun shop owner said, these people are gripped with fear. They're gripped with fear, and I'm not going to try to analyze exactly, what their exact nature of their fears. But for me, I told you, for me it was an evil, a spirit, an unseen, a spiritual thing. And the disciples, when Jesus was out on a boat at night, the disciples and he had gone on a boat. I imagine it was a fairly small boat, and they had gone out in the lake, and Jesus was asleep. And a fierce wind and storm came up, and the waves were coming into the boat, and the disciples were gripped with fear. Said, "Wake up, Jesus! We're going to drown. We're going to die. We need your help," because they've seen Jesus do some amazing things. And well, I didn't know. I think they were kind of probably thinking, "Oh, this is different. This is wind and storm, and at least we can all die together." But Jesus questioned them. Why are you so afraid? Why? Where is your faith? Where's your faith? And Jesus stopped the wind and the storm. And the disciples just were so amazed. They said, "Who is this that even the wind obeys him?" Have you ever been on a little boat with? I was on a mail boat off the coast of Maine in Penobscot Bay when Hurricane Katrina hit, and that was fun because it was just the very beginning of the hurricane, and the waves were crashing into the boat, and we were getting sprayed on the boat a little bit. It was the very, as I said, the very fringe or beginning of the storm, and I got to land before anything really happened. But had that been at night, and had that been in the midst of the storm, I don't know. My heart would have failed me. I don't know what I would have done. But for me, it was just a fun experience, and I'll never forget that. So where is your faith? What are you afraid of? What's the shadowy figure in your life? The second thing I wanted to talk about was loneliness. And we're all going to experience loneliness to a degree. We're all, think if you're in with your family and, it's not easy. A new schedule, a new routine, and a lot of new challenges. And life is really different and evolving and emerging for all of us in a lot of different ways. And we just heard today that the Vermont schools are going to be closed for the remainder of the year. So it's only late March. So you think about it, there would be almost 3 more months till school would even end for the year, and they're going to be closed. So this is the normal way of life that we're going to have to get used to. So loneliness, just think about people who are really all alone, who don't even have other family members with them. Loneliness, I know, can be a devastating, extremely difficult thing. I'm fortunate in that I miss certainly being able to see the rest of my family and friends and go among the community easily with freedom and being able to talk to people. But loneliness certainly grips a lot of people. And Jesus would often go away by himself. He had the crowds, he had his disciples, but he often would go away to a mountain to pray, a lonely place. He was in the desert for 40 days alone. And he would go and pray because he needed that time with God. He needed that time to pray, to speak to God, and for God to speak to him. It's a two-way conversation. It's not just one way. Sometimes God speaks to us in various ways, and whether through our heart, through another person, or through more extraordinary ways. Nothing's impossible. So I'm saying we can find strength in loneliness, that we can become stronger in loneliness. We can use the time to commune with God, to pray for him to hear us and to answer us back. Number 3, my last emotion, worry or anxiety. And I would say that one of the most difficult things for all of us right now is that we all had plans and hopes. Like, for example, today would have been opening day in baseball. And I looked so forward to that day, and I would have been glued to the television set and watching the New York Mets play their opening day game. I believe at Citi Field in New York. I would have watched it on television. And I wouldn't have probably missed a pitch. And there are so many things that we want to even plan tomorrow. We wanted to plan, whether it's your job or school or recreation or times with friends and family, whatever it might be. We can't plan those things. And that's certainly a source of worry and anxiety, not being able to, having to live each day. But Jesus talked about this in the book of Matthew, which you can find in Matthew chapter 6, 25 to 34. He was trying to teach us to live each day, one day at a time, not to worry about tomorrow, because today's troubles are sufficient for the day. we really can't worry about tomorrow because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to be, and worry is not going to add 1 hour to our life. In fact, it's probably going to make us sick physically and emotionally to worry. And we want to be healthy. We want to be healthy in our spirit, healthy in our emotions, and healthy in our body. So we want to have a discipline. So, Jesus spoke about, if you look at the birds, and I really like feeding the birds. In fact, I just recently bought them suet and bird seed, and I see the woodpecker or cardinals or blue jays and various other birds in my feeder. And you know what? It's for my enjoyment. They don't really need me to put that out. It's a little bonus for them, but honestly, it's all for my enjoyment. The birds, they're going to find their food, and they don't have to worry. They don't sow or reap. They're not sowing seed and reaping fruit, although they kind of do that indirectly, but they're not worrying. They live each day. So Jesus used them as an example. That we're really not to worry about tomorrow. And that's hard, not planning, but we should have hope. Hope is needed. We all should have hope. Like I have hope that one day, soon, this will pass. And I don't claim that things will go on exactly as they were before. I think this is going to change us, all of us, our habits, our priorities, what we might use to distract ourselves, our forms of entertainment or recreation, or the way we go about it. This is definitely going to last long enough that it's going to cause some habits and priorities to change. There's no doubt about that. But we should not be worrying and having this anxiety. We should take opportunity to develop good habits. Make sure we stay healthy. Make sure we get good nutrition, get enough rest, exercise, and continue to communicate with your family and friends as much as possible. Even for me, doing something like this is something I would have really not ever thought I'd be doing. And I even had my neighbors ask about having a service in the lawn, where we're spread out in the lawn. And I honored but also amazed, thinking, well, when in my lifetime did I think my neighbors would suggest us having a service in their lawn outside? But we need to pray. We need God. We need spiritual things. God needs to hear from us, and He will answer. Your fears, whether you're gripped with fear as I was, and I still, or that loneliness that you might feel, that many of us feel, in one form or another, or that worry or anxiety. So I say, find a lonely place, pray, read your Bible. And you're a human being created by God. This is His creation. He will hear you, and He will speak to you. And until I talk with you again and see you again, I want to just pray for each one of you. Whatever it is that you're going through, whatever one of these emotions are most prevalent in your life, as you, God knows who you are, and my family, whether you're a friend, whether you're I guess in this technology, this could be seen by almost anyone in the world. If you're hearing this, I want to pray for you that God will protect you from harm and evil, you and your family, from those unseen forces, and give you faith that you need. And I pray these through our Lord Jesus. And God bless you, and I'll see you next time.